There is an unspoken rule in nature: the ocean is where the nightmares live. From the giant mosasaurs of the Mesozoic to the great white sharks of today, the water is usually the place where humans, and most terrestrial life, face their worst odds. But 255 million years ago, during a short window called the Lopingian Epoch, that rule was turned upside down. The empty ocean, while the superocean Panthalassa was twice the size of our modern Pacific, it was surprisingly tame. The aquatic nightmares of the early Permian, like the 8-meter helicoprion with its circular saw-blade jaw, had already gone extinct. Its remaining relatives, like Haleritis, were only about 2 meters long and possessed teeth designed for soft prey like squid, not for hunting large animals. Even the terrifying eurypterids, sea scorpions, were on the brink of extinction, and marine life in general was still reeling from the Capetanian mass extinction. This left the oceans relatively empty of giant apex predators. For a brief moment in Earth's history, the water was a quiet sanctuary. The land horror: on land, however, there were no breaks. The extinction of older groups allowed the gorgonopsids to rise, the first true, saber-tooth, predators. One genus, Inostrancevia, grew to over 11 feet long and weighed more than 1,000 pounds. These monsters had 15-centimeter-long upper canines designed to slice through flesh and cause catastrophic blood loss. And they weren't alone. The therocephalians were diversifying into terrifying niches. Some, like the jaguar-sized Mascarinus, were apex predators, while others like Megawaitsia may have been the first creatures to ever evolve venom glands to take down large prey. Even the fresh water wasn't safe, as 13-foot primitive amphibians like Uranocentrodon acted as specialized ambush hunters, much like modern crocodiles. The reptilian continent: to understand why land is historically the more dangerous environment, we can look at prehistoric Australia 50,000 years ago. When humans first arrived, they didn't just find a desert, they found a continent ruled by reptilian horrors. The predators. The land croc, unlike modern crocodiles that wade in the water, Quincana was a terrestrial specialist. It had long legs for sprinting on land and hoof-like toes. Its teeth were serrated like a dinosaur's, designed to slice animals up like a filet mignon. The Great Ripper. Then there was Megalania, a monitor lizard that could reach lengths of 26 feet. It was likely venomous, using an anticoagulant toxin that prevented blood from clotting, ensuring that even a small bite would eventually be fatal. The marsupial lion: even the mammals were built for extreme lethality. Thylacoleo carnifex had the strongest bite force pound for pound of any known mammal. It could kill large prey in under a minute, a task that takes a modern African lion 15 minutes. In this environment, taking a dip in the ocean might have actually seemed like a relief compared to facing a 26-foot venomous lizard or a sprinting crocodile. The evolutionary solution: because land was so dangerous for so long, the species that survived there had to become absolute units. The Neanderthals are the perfect example of this land-based evolutionary arms race. Biology of battle: Neanderthals weren't just cavemen, they were biological tanks. Their skeletons were twice as dense as ours, and their muscle mass was 20% greater than the average modern human. It is estimated that a male Neanderthal could bench press 500 pounds without any training. They possessed a lung capacity 20% to 40% greater than ours, allowing them to power their massive bodies in high-intensity, close-quarter hunts against woolly mammoths. The final choice: this robustness was a necessity because the land was a place of extreme trauma. Between 79% and 94% of Neanderthal skeletons show signs of healed fractures or amputations, often from face-to-face encounters with large predators. The environmental apocalypse: returning to the Lopingian era, the final factor that made water safer than land was Mother Nature herself. During the Great Dying, the eruption of the Siberian traps turned the land into an apocalyptic wasteland. Average temperatures hit 95 degrees Fahrenheit 35 degrees Celsius, oxygen levels plummeted, and UV radiation increased by 5,000%. While the oceans eventually suffered from acidification, for a long time, they remained a refuge from the toxic air and extreme heat. As the sources suggest, even when the sea temperatures rose to the level of a jacuzzi, it was still a spa compared to the literal hell occurring on land. Closing: history teaches us that the ocean is usually the most dangerous place on Earth, unless the land is currently being ruled by 11-foot saber-toothed therapsids and bombarded by volcanic radiation. In those rare moments, the deep blue was the only place to find a little peace. Would you like me to create an infographic showing the timeline of these extinctions, or perhaps a quiz to test your knowledge on these prehistoric